Hey there, everybody. This is Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and welcome to the Mad Science Lab podcast. Fading in and out. It's all right. We'll make do. All right, everybody. As I said, Aaron St. Dennis here, the Mad Science Lab podcast. Continuing on today, we have my thoughts on the Buffalo Bills with JCJ Dynasty, going by his Twitter handle, all inconspicuous and shit. Nice to see you, JC. Thanks for joining me. How's it going?
Good, man. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, as you can see, I'm currently at work right now, but I'm happy to come on and talk about the Buffalo Bills here with you for a little bit.
Yeah, you're lucky we don't know your last name. I'd be calling work and telling them this guy's podcasting at work. So,
yeah. I don't know if they would have too much of a problem with it, honestly.
Nah, probably not. But you want to tell everyone where they can find you besides work?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at JCJ Dynasty. I have a Substack where I'm putting out some of my written work, usually weekly. It's jcjdynasty.substack.com. And Nerdboy Takes and I are starting a podcast, Dynasty Degens. We just finished the first episode. I think it's going to drop tomorrow, Thursday, May 4th, if you're listening to this right now.
All right. Sounds good. Well, without further ado, I guess let's get into breaking down the Buffalo Bills. There we go. All right. Depth chart is copied from ESPN. Nothing to see here in the quarterback room. We've got Josh Allen and the other Allen, who, unless they confuse which Allen is playing, he will never see the field. Josh Allen, I think this is one of the easier ones to go through. Will finish as likely a top 3 quarterback if he stays healthy. Probably going to go earlier in drafts than you've ever seen before because people are going to overreact to just how bad quarterbacks were outside the top 5. What are your thoughts on Josh Allen?
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much hit it on the head. Consummate top 5 quarterback. I think he was quarterback 1 in 2021 and 2020, and Mahomes took it back last year, at least not on a points per game basis. I think Jalen Hurts was points per game, but more or less he's going to be in the top 3 to top 5, absolute worst, and you know exactly what you're getting out of Josh Allen.
Yeah. There's nothing to see here. Oh, we are drifting out. Just a sec. Let me add you back in. There we go.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Your work internet doesn't like you very much.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll move on then to the running back room. We've got they have it listed as the starter being Damian Harris with James Cook, Nyheim Hines, and Nyheim Hines backing him up. I don't know what to make of this one. I really thought James Cook was going to be great. I still think he'll be okay. I'm not sure Damian Harris is going to impact him all that much. Nyheim Hines being on the roster still is a little bit scary for third down. What do you make of these 3?
Yeah, so I think they brought Nyheim Hines in initially to be the punt returner guy towards that playoff run, especially when it gets colder and it gets windier during the winter months up there in Buffalo. Sometimes the punts could be a little hard to judge, so you want an experienced guy back there, especially for that time period. I'm not overly concerned about Damian Harris. I think the only thing that you potentially would have to worry about him is inside the 5-yard line. I don't think that he has a real penchant for catching the ball. I don't think that's really his skill set. If you look at Devin Singletary over the last 2 seasons, 2021 and 2022 on the Buffalo Bills, he was top 5 in the league in routes run from the running back position. So if we're projecting James Cook to take over more of that skill or more of that role, I think James Cook is a sneaky little buy. I think he probably will be more expensive than Damian Harris in drafts because of the PPR expectation in that respect. But you have Josh Allen. Josh Allen's going to be the guy that's the hammer probably inside the 2-3 yard line, and he's going to end up getting a lot of those rushing touchdowns. So I just don't really know what Damian Harris provides other than being like that in between the 20s, give him 10 carries a game, just keep the offense moving, and I think that's probably all you're going to get out of him.
I did a bit of a research article a few weeks back, and it was intended to be a why you should buy Devin Singletary, which then turned into a intention of why you should buy Damian Harris, which then turned into a just buy James Cook because Damian Harris and Devin Singletary seem to be the same player, and neither of them is particularly good. So I agree. I think it's going to be James Cook, and I think he should go higher than Harris, but I still think he's going to be a value just because everyone's going to assume Harris is going to vulture some touches, but I don't think he's going to eat into him that much. All righty. Disconnected. Add you back. Moving on to the wide receiver room, we have the alpha at the top, Stephon Diggs, with two guys that I don't really know what to make of. We have Gabe Davis and Khalil Shakir. Bringing up the bench, we have Deontay Hardy, Desmond Patton, and Isaiah. Does it say Coulter? I zoomed out so I could add you back in. Yeah, it says Isaiah Coulter. Diggs is pretty much, your top six, set him and forget him. Gabe Davis frustrates me to no end, and I was kind of disappointed with Shakir. I had much higher expectations, so maybe he'll find a way to live up to him in his second year. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are Isaiah Coulter, former URI guy. He was down in Houston for the first couple of years of his career. I don't think he's really going to amount to much, just a camp body. Desmond Patton, same thing, day 3 wide receiver that they took in like the 6th round, I think, out of Oregon State. So not really anything there for Desmond Patton. He does provide a little bit of size, I suppose, to the wide receiver room.
Oh, I didn't even see Justin Shorters down there too.
Yeah,
that's the rookie they drafted. I assume 6th or 7th round out of Florida.
Yeah, 5th round, like 150th overall for Justin Shorter. He was a highly touted recruit coming out of high school. He did next to nothing at Florida. I don't expect him to do anything in the NFL either.
Yeah.
Deontay Hardy, well, the artist known as Deontay Hardy, formerly known as Deontay Harris.
I was going to say he was a saint, and this bothered the hell out of me forever. I was going, I have Deontay Harris. How do I have Deontay Hardy now? And then I looked it up, and it's the same fucking guy.
Yeah, he just changed his name.
Yes,
changed
he
his
did.
Last name. I don't know how you do the last name, the surname portion. We have a Robbie Anderson or Chosen Anderson or however you want to call him now.
I don't know. Was he married and took his wife's last name? I don't know. And then they got divorced.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
It's a very strange, inconspicuous situation.
Yeah.
They actually did give Deontay Hardy a little bit of money this offseason, though. I assume to play that Isaiah McKenzie, Cole Beasley slot kind of gadget speed.
Yeah.
More your prototypical slot receiver that doesn't necessarily have that high-end speed. I did like what I saw out of Khalil Shakir last season, and I was anticipating him potentially moving into that starting slot role, but now they add Deontay Hardy into the mix, and it kind of just muddies the waters a little bit. And we'll probably get to this guy very shortly, but there's another guy they added in the first round of this draft that is probably going to take a pretty good amount of the slot workload as well in this offense. But all in all, Gabe Davis, the experiment has been run. He is I guess he's a best ball guy. He's definitely not a guy that I feel supremely confident starting even in like 3 wide receiver formats. He's just too wildly inconsistent. Yeah. So it's Stephon Diggs or bust really for pass catchers until we get to this next position group.
Well, let's transition into who I assume you're talking about. You're either talking about Dalton Kincaid or you're higher on Dawson Knox than anybody I know. So let's assume you're talking about first round rookie Dalton Kincaid, who I have as the starter with Dawson Knox as the backup. Might be more likely a split here. I'm not sure. What do you make of it?
Yeah, so I think what's going to happen, especially if you look at what they drafted Osiris Torrance, the offensive guard from Florida in the 2nd round. And then they drafted Kincaid in the 1st round. What I think they're trying to work their way towards a little bit, especially for the running game, is more of a power run game where they use more 12 personnel, where Dawson Knox is going to be the traditional wide tight end with his hand in the dirt, and Dalton Kincaid is going to be that big target in the slot, kind of like the Chase Claypool-esque slot, big slot wide receiver. I think he's going to be not really asked to block all that much, which is great for our tight ends in fantasy football. And I think that's why Dalton Kincaid the tight end 1 in this rookie class in 2023, not only because of landing spot, but what he's going to be asked to do in his offense, hopefully.
Yeah. All right. Based on what you obviously, like, I'm using best ball ADP as, what I project to be something in the range of redraft ADP. Based on where you think they will likely be taken, who's someone on this team you're going to be targeting in fantasy drafts?
I think who I'm going to be targeting in fantasy drafts will be James Cook and Dalton Kincaid. I think you might be able to get away with getting Dalton Kincaid a little bit later in drafts among less
just
sharp
because of
leagues
Knox.
potentially. Yeah. And then James Cook, I think, offers the most upside in this running back room with the workload that we mentioned that Devin Singletary did receive. And I anticipate that they're going to at least give him that much workload as a receiving option, if not more. So hopefully he could catch like 60 balls this year and make things a little bit interesting as an RB2 with some upside.
Yeah, Cook would have been my choice for sure. I think his ADP is going to be suppressed a bit too by Damian Harris. If you had one player you were going to avoid, I think we're both going to say the same person, but who would you avoid at what you expect to be their cost?
I'm just going to avoid Gabe Davis altogether, regardless of what his cost is. Unless he's free, unless he's literally a free.
He's not going to be free. You know it.
Yeah.
So, yep.
He's
couldn't
attached
agree more.
to Josh Allen. Yeah.
Some of these are tough on different teams. That was an easy one where I looked through and I said, Gabe Davis, I'm avoiding. He's going to go high. He's going to, he's ultimately going to go lower than he did last year, but he's still going to be overvalued for a guy who's not going to produce that much. If you had one sleeper on this team, is there anyone who stands out to you?
It's interesting because the Bills really are kind of just what you're seeing from throughout the depth chart. I guess Deontay Hardy would be a sleeper potentially that could have
Deontay Hardy or Deontay Harris?
Deontay Hardy. We're going to go Deontay Hardy. I don't know if Harris is eligible technically in any of these. I don't want anybody just drafting somebody that's not recognized in the NFL anymore.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I think he potentially could be like a best ball target. A guy that's got some speed. They use him in a gadget role. Maybe he breaks like an 80-yard touchdown on one of these little end arounds, or a slot out route to where he just kind of gets open and just takes it down the sideline.
Alrighty, last year they won the division and went 13-3. Where do you see them finishing this year in the division? And 13 wins, over, under, or the same?
I think it's going to be under. I think they'll be under 13 wins. If you look at what the New York Jets in this division added, I think the defense is still very good, and they shored up probably their weakest position in the entire roster at quarterback. The Bills have lost a number of players on their defense, so I think the team is going to need to be coached up by Sean McDermott a pretty extensive amount for them to kind of reach that pinnacle that they were at last year. I'd have them going 12-5. I think they still squeak out a division title.
Win, yep.
That's probably
I had them about the same. I have them winning the division again. Probably, like you said, probably 12 wins. I don't know. There's a lot of inconsistency and unknowns in that division, so I don't think anyone's going to jump up and beat them. I think it's going to be a three horse fight for who finishes second between, well, 2 horse, because I think the Pats finished last considerably. So we ran a little short here this time because you're having some internet struggles there, so I didn't want to drag on and have you cutting in and out too much. As I say that, he cuts out again. So we have you back on the feed. Would you like to tell everyone once again where they can find your work?
Yeah, you can find me at JCJ Dynasty on Twitter. My Substack is jcjdynasty.substack.com, where I post all my written content. And we'll be posting my Dynasty Degens podcast with Nerd Boy Takes. Hopefully this Thursday, May 4th, will be the release date on all platforms, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, etc. All
right. Well, thank you for joining me. This has been my thoughts on the Buffalo Bills with JCJ Dynasty. I am Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and thank you, everyone, for checking in again to the Mad Science Lab podcast. We'll see you next time. We will be continuing with our daily My Thoughts series tomorrow, so check back again. Take care, everyone.